We are just going to give it a minute or two to have all of our participants populate here. I know that you're jumping from session to session, so just give it about 30 seconds here. Do see those numbers starting to climb again, which is great. Thank you so much for joining us here. We have a great little session ready for you pertaining to admissions and financial aid. Just kind of watching participants here before we get going. All right. All right, everyone. Well, thank you for joining us again for today's Fall Open House Admissions and Financial Aid session. It is a gorgeous fall day here in the Capital Region. I believe it's almost 60 degrees. The sun is shining. The leaves are turning all different kinds of beautiful colors. So it's been a really, really great day here in the fall time. My name is Lauren Souter. I am one of the Assistant Directors of Admissions here at Rensselaer. I'm joined by some colleagues here. My colleague Hanif Cropper, who will be on the admissions side in the chat box handling your questions as they come in. We have Stacy Antonelli from Financial Aid, who will also be moderating our chat box here from that perspective. You'll also hear from the Director of Financial Aid, Marty Daniels, a bit later on in this session. If you have questions as they arise throughout the presentation, please enter them here in the chat box. It is moderated, so Hanif and Stacy will be addressing them as we go. A few quick tips for you as we get settled here. Google Chrome and Firefox are the preferred web browsers that play nice with our webinar platform here. If audio does cut out for you or if it starts to sound a little wonky, we recommend refreshing your browser page, as this has been a popular fix in the past webinars. We also have some quality assurance folks listening in to make sure technology runs smoothly from our side as well. But I do think we have most folks joined here. I think that participant number is kind of steady. So first of all, thank you so much again for your strong interest in Rensselaer. We will be hitting on admissions and financial aid today. So jumping right into application options, and this is always my favorite time of year as we start to get applications coming in. We do have 3 different applications that we accept here at Rensselaer: the Common application, the Coalition app, and our own application called the Candidate's Choice application. We do not weigh one more heavily over any other, and you only have to submit one. Sometimes people say, do I have to do all 3? No, just one of those will suffice. We offer these options out of convenience for you. Whatever will make your life the most efficient is what we recommend using. We highly recommend, if you are a Naviance High School, the easiest way to apply is through the Common application. This is to also make your guidance counselors' lives a little bit easier because the transmission of data flows the best between Common App and Naviance. The Candidate's Choice is a little more streamlined and is our own application. So if you aren't on one of those larger platforms, the Candidate's Choice might be a good option for you. And so we do not weigh one heavily over any other. So please just do whatever is the most efficient and easiest for you. There are a number of different deadlines this year that you can choose from, and all of these are on our website as well, so don't feel like you have to furiously write them down here unless you'd like to. But we do have Early Decision 1 coming up on November 1st, with the notification going out on December 12th, which is a pretty quick turnaround and always gets me excited. Early Decision 1 and 2 are always binding. We'll talk a little bit more about that on the next slide here. We have our 7-year physician scientist program, the BSMD as it's called, coming up as well on November 1st. This is non-binding. It is an earlier deadline because it is a lengthier review process between us and Albany Medical College. The notifications for the 7-year BSMD program usually come out in early April, and you will be let known kind of throughout that process. You can always give us a call and make sure that you're doing everything right for that program. But again, the notification date for that is not set in stone. We are offering early action this year, which I am also very excited about. We have seen an uptick in this choice already this year. If you apply by December 1st, you can hear back by January 30th, and that is non-binding. So early action, non-binding. December 1st is that magic date for you, and then January 30th will be when you find out. Early decision too, as last year we do have this option as well. If you apply by December 15th, you can hear back by January 16th. And then coming up, the last one, regular decision, January 15th, and we'll let you know by March 6th. So again, I do think we are one of the few schools that let you know when we'll release our decisions. We don't want to waste your time. We love to be efficient here. We don't want you incessantly checking your email throughout the month of March. That's just not nice. So go, if you don't write these down, these are up on our website as well. And again, choose whatever deadline works best for you and your plans and with the other schools that you're applying to as well. So a quick note as a reminder, in past years, when it comes to early decision, if you are offered admission here at Rensselaer, you are expected to enroll. That is with a non-refundable $500 deposit as long as your scholarship meets your needs. So again, ED1 and ED2, those are binding here at Rensselaer. And if you have any questions about that as you get going into the admissions process, feel free to let our office know. So what are we looking for when we're looking at your application, you might ask? Well, we're about to go over that for you. The application review process is very holistic. So whether it takes us here on the admission side 1 hour to read your application or 3 hours or 5 hours, we are reading it in its entirety, and it is one of my favorite parts of the job, of course. You want to be sure to put your best foot forward when applying so we can evaluate your academic and extracurricular abilities clearly in your application. We are first and foremost looking at your high school transcript. So the most competitive applicants will have what you see here on the slide. So 3 years of science containing biology, chemistry, and a lab-based physics course. We look for 4 years of math, at least through pre-calculus, with calculus recommended. We do say through pre-calculus because our academics do start here on campus at Calculus 1. So we do expect all students to have at least that pre-calc knowledge once they get to campus here. We do oftentimes see a lot of applicants with AP Calc, A, B, B, C, things like that. And that does give a lot of students a leg up when they get here at Rensselaer. We also look for 4 years of English and 3 years of a social science, social studies, or history on your transcript. We also do see the most competitive applicants having an A to A minus GPA and a challenging course load. So we don't put a number on that GPA. Some schools actually don't use numbers or letters. We know how to evaluate your transcript within your high school's parameters there. And if we do have questions, we do reach out to your guidance counselors and have open communication with them with any changes that might be going on at your high school as well, especially when it comes to curriculum. We do look at the rigor of your course load, and we are looking for students who are challenging themselves while maintaining competitive grades as well. All right, so most of our programs are test optional this year due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The exception to this is our Accelerated Physician Scientist program, where mentioned earlier with that November 1 deadline, where we still will hope to receive the SAT or ACT with writing. So for the 7-year program, all standardized tests must be taken by the November testing date for the program, and it's recommended that if you are taking the November testing date to have your scores rushed to Rensselaer. For the 7-year program, again, SAT subject tests are optional this year. Students are encouraged to submit their subject tests if you've taken them and if you think the scores will strengthen your application. So Albany Medical will work with students if it has been impossible for you to take your tests. So please get in touch with us if you have any questions about the BSMD program and standardized testing. You can always reach out to us at admissions@rpi.edu. So with that exception, for all other programs, we will not require standardized testing this year for the upcoming cycle. So that means for fall 2021 and spring 2022 applicants. If you do have scores and you think they represent your ability well, you can certainly send them in to us. If you have not taken the test, or if it keeps getting canceled, or you took one instance and you really don't think it represents your ability, you can definitely bypass sending them to us for this year again. Again, if you have questions on these policies, feel free to let us know. As you get going, you might kind of say, oh, I have questions. Feel free to send us an email and we're happy to help. So continuing on what we're looking for, so aside from academics, we are looking for well-rounded students who excel outside of the classroom as well. So we're looking for students who are change makers in their communities. We know you'll be jumping into our community here to make a difference and change the world. So we pay particular attention to candidates who demonstrate qualities of leadership in anything that you do, really. So all to say, please fill out the activities portion completely there on the application, because we really do take a close look at that. Are you doing a part-time job? Are you caring for an elderly grandparent or a younger sibling, tutoring, or a captain of a sports team, or first flute in the orchestra? We really want to know what your life looks like as a whole outside of the classroom as well. So a common thing that we always see is maybe one-word answers there. Definitely take the time to fill out that activities portion, as well as the number of hours that you're doing things, because it really helps us just paint the picture of who you are as an applicant. We also require one recommendation letter. Only one is required. Yes, we're all about efficiency here. We do recommend that it's from a core math or science teacher in your high school, since we are a STEM institution. We oftentimes do see the guidance counselor recommendation and other teachers as well. So typically we see about 2 to 4 recommendation letters come in for any given application. 15 might be pushing it, but I do promise you we read them all. So make sure that you're just picking people who will reflect you in the best light possible when it comes to your recommender. The essay is also an important part of the process, and you can utilize any prompt of your choosing. We do also ask one supplemental question: why Rensselaer, every single year. Now, this question doesn't have to be long, but we do want to see your thought process as to what you plan on doing here on campus and why you want to attend Rensselaer. It could be about research, the arts program, majors you're interested in, or anything else that led you to deciding to apply here, and what inspired you to look into our school and to ultimately apply. Now, we do have creative portfolios that are required for our 5-year Bachelor of Architecture program, as well as our music majors. And we have optional portfolios for our games and simulation, arts and sciences, and electronic arts majors. And those will all be submitted through a separate entity called SlideRoom. You will get all the instructions for that after you kind of hit submit on your application. And again, if you have any logistical questions along the way with any of the technology or anything that you're seeing in your email, feel free to let us know, because that's what we are here for. So now, kind of halfway through here, I will be passing this off to Marty Daniels, who is our Director of Financial Aid here at Rensselaer, to continue the presentation. Thanks, Marty.
Sure, absolutely, Lauren. Good afternoon, everybody. It's great to be able to spend a little bit of time with you here today. And welcome to Rensselaer from Stacy Antonelli as well. Stacy's one of our assistant directors, and we'll be picking up some of the chat answers here this afternoon too. One of the things I want to point out before we really jump into the numbers that you see on this slide is just that between now and the beginning of enrollment, you'll have a lot of different opportunities to learn about financial aid, or to interact around the application requirements, and to ask questions as you go. For example, it's already a couple weeks past when families could begin filing the federal FAFSA form or the CSS profile form. And so on our website, we have a video library, and there are 4 or 5 videos out there that kind of talk about how to apply for financial aid, the differences between the forms, and how to avoid errors. And then kind of looking into the future, there's also one that talks about transitioning from the time the student is accepted into the beginning of enrollment the following fall. And so please reach out when you have questions. There will be lots of high school financial aid nights around the country as well. And so there's always a good amount of free information to help you understand the financial aid environment. And so for the first slide here, again, it's just really pointing out that we have a very robust financial aid program here at Rensselaer. The majority of our domestic students receive some variety of financial assistance. Typically, that would at least be one of our merit awards. We also have a very healthy endowment and endowed scholarship program that supports our students. The $198 million there is across all programs, not just freshmen. Certainly, I wish it was just freshmen, as you do as well. But again, my main point is that we have a healthy financial aid program, and we encourage all students to apply for aid who are U.S. citizens, permanent residents, or citizens of Canada. And so that's just kind of a fundamental starting point. But next, we'll talk a little bit about the different types of programs that we do provide. Scholarships and grants are always a good place to start because that is free money that does not need to be repaid and does not need to be worked for. And so a scholarship is typically going to be based on the academic merit of the student or potentially a skill. There are schools that provide merit scholarships based on musical talent, and we're all familiar with Division I sports, and our engineers hockey team, et cetera, receive athletic awards. But the vast majority of students at Rensselaer are receiving awards based on academic merit, and so the scholarships here speak to the merit position. Grants are going to be based on financial need, and that's where we require both the FAFSA and the CSS profile. The FAFSA is your application for federal aid, and in most states, including New York, that's also a platform where you can launch to start your state grant application as well. So everybody should be filling out the FAFSA. The CSS profile is not required by all schools, but Rensselaer requires the profile, as do many other four-year privates, based on the need to kind of have some different views towards awarding our own institutional aid. And so the forms are a little bit different around asset questions. So please fill them out accurately and understand we're trying to award the most fair and the healthiest awards to all the possible students that we can. And so everybody, please file accurately and timely, and we will help you to the best of our ability. This slide talks about what we call the self-help programs, loans and employment. Loans, most people have a pretty common understanding, of course, are funds that need to be repaid. And then typically for the student loans, the payments are going to be deferred until after the student is no longer enrolled at the institution. And so we participate in the federal programs for students and parents. The student loan has an annual maximum, and for first-year students, it's about $5,500. The federal parent loan and also the non-federal loans allow a family or student to request to borrow a higher loan amount. We have some families that are borrowing $30,000 or $40,000 in a year through these other options, and typically that's a matter of choice rather than paying out of pocket. Overall, our students are very average in their borrowing, and we have a 97% repayment success rate. And so if a loan is in your award, we understand that people really don't want loans. We get that, but we're not able to fully fund the students with gift aid. And so the loans are provided as a resource to help with the financial equation. For student employment, you'll see that this is broken into two categories. The Financial Aid Office awards the Federal Work-Study Program because that's need-based, determined by your FAFSA filing. And those are jobs that are placed more or less through our office, and they tend to be kind of administrative support jobs. But about 2/3 of the jobs on campus are through non-work-study programs and the Handshake website that's managed by the Career Center. And so if your student is interested in working, hopefully there would be an option available to them. Just understand that the federal dollars are limited, and so we do prioritize based on higher need for the federal work-study jobs. When Lauren was talking about the deadlines for admissions, understand that there are very close parallels for the financial aid process. And so the general idea, and I know you guys can see the dates there, the general idea is that if you file your FAFSA and your profile on time along with your admissions application, then we want to give you your financial aid notification of merit and need-based awards and also self-help awards all at the same time. And so if you're meeting our application deadlines for aid, then hopefully when your acceptance is provided, you would have your award at the same release. And we keep awarding anyways. And so, for example, if a family only files the FAFSA by the priority date, then when we process the award, it might only show their merit award. But if that family fills out the profile form afterwards, certainly we'll still consider them for need-based grant. We do like to give away gift aid, It's just we don't have the budget to give out as much as I would really like to give. And so apply on time and be sure to receive your information when you're interested in making your decisions. The last two slides I have talk about some of our special academic programs, which also have some financial aid considerations. The ARCH program, of course, is about getting students out and doing co-op internship. Some of them will do an independent learning experience or maybe have their volunteer work convert into an acceptable experience for the ARCH requirement. And so, but from a financial aid perspective, understand that our goal is to provide the aid for when the student is expected to be on campus taking in-person classes. And so for the ARCH year, which is basically the junior year for most students, they're on campus for the summer. After the end of the sophomore year in spring, then they're there for that following summer, and they receive their tuition bill and they receive their financial aid. Then the student is going to be away for either the fall or the spring. And so there's no charges and there's no aid for when they're away. And then when the student is back on campus, then that's when they're charged the tuition and the aid applies again. Okay. And so there's good information on our website, and there's kind of ARCH preparation meetings similar to this that we do for the sophomores. But keep in mind that the first 2 years, freshman and sophomore, are pretty traditional fall, spring. But then for the junior year, you're there for the summer. And so all students would have at least 3 consecutive terms of enrollment from start of their sophomore year through the summer of the ARCH for their junior year. And then if the student is also on campus for the fall, then that becomes 4 consecutive terms of enrollment. And so for financial planning, it's important that we describe that to you now so you have a chance to think about how that looks in the future. For example, we have a monthly payment plan. And maybe for the first couple of years, you are fine without the monthly payment plan, but maybe it makes sense to do it to help bridge the financials for the ARCH year. Or perhaps you are not in a position where you would need or want to take a parent loan for the first 2 years, but maybe it makes a little bit more sense for the junior year. And so we can work with you on those concepts as we go. But again, with the ARCH, it's a matter of providing the aid when the student is expected to be in class. Co-terminal will be a little bit quicker to describe. Academically, those are the programs where the student has received their bachelor degree at Rensselaer, and then they stay typically for just 2 additional semesters, and they receive a master's degree at the same time. In some situations, a student going to our MBA programs, they would have the additional aid for 3 semesters because maybe they're from a technical major and they're moving into business. And so for the co-terminal programs, the Rensselaer gift aid funding is applicable to that as well. And so whether you're thinking about advancing your degree now or at a later time, I'm a huge fan of these co-terminal programs. To be able to come to a school like Rensselaer and have 2 degrees in 5 years and receive your gift aid, you don't have to change school. You don't have to compete with other graduate students. It's really, really fantastic. So please consider that as you go, and I will speak of that enthusiastically every time you ask me. For the other programs on this slide, we have combined programs. This top part really focuses on the medical program, which is a kind of a partnership with Albany Medical College. And just keep in mind that we also have a similar program with Albany Law. And so with these joint programs, the student is accepted through Rensselaer. For the medical, of course, as Lauren described, that includes the consideration for the medical at that time as well. For the law, that's a little bit different on the timing, but the main idea that I'm trying to describe as the financial aid guy is just simply that when the student is enrolled at Rensselaer, that's when the Rensselaer aid applies and we process the aid out of my office. As soon as the student is over at the other college, they're on the financial aid for those other programs specifically. For the on-campus programs that are fully within Rensselaer, it's a little bit different. These are accelerated, so you stay at Rensselaer, you get things done a little bit quicker, but then the funding moves outside of the financial aid office and becomes a little bit more program specific and more what we would call department level awards. And so the accelerated programs are not co-terminal, but there still are gift aid awards provided to those students as well. So again, I know that's a lot to cover. It's the first time we've even met on this slate system, but we might have other sessions that you'll join, and each one will be a little bit different. But for now, that's what I have to cover. I'll be back in a couple minutes to help with the question and answer. And so, Lauren, I'll just turn it right back to you now.
Great. Thank you so much, Marty, for that. So much important information here. But just to wrap up, everybody, and thank you so much for your great questions that are coming in. Keep them coming. But we do rank well on many metrics year over year. We totally understand that college is a major investment and one of the biggest commitments you'll make in your life, not to sound scary, but we do believe that it is an excellent return on investment here at Rensselaer. The average starting salary of our graduates last year was $74,000. It only has gone up each year. Before that, I think it was 71. The year before that, 69,000. So again, just kind of seeing that creep up and up year over year. We are listed on the top 25 colleges for return on investment each year by Forbes, and we have some of the lowest default rates in the country, about 2 to 3%. So our graduates are able to pay their money back if they have any that's been loaned to them. But we are proud of all of our graduates who really are moving on from Rensselaer to go ahead and change the world. So finally, just related to that, we do like to show a small sampling of where our students are going after Rensselaer. Our Career Center for Professional Development, known as the CCPD, posts annual hiring statistics as to where students go by major and their associated salary ranges as well. So this is a survey that the CCPD sends out to our graduates, and the sample size, I believe, last year was about 12 or 1,300. So a lot of our students do reply to that, and the data is taken just from their replies. To give you an overview of where our graduates kind of end up, so 85% go directly into their industry after they graduate, and then about 15% go to the next level of study, so either master's, PhD, or they're pursuing medical school or law school. We do see a small percentage of graduates going to ROTC programs, research, or other fields such as volunteering as well. So you can access all of our hiring statistics that the Career Center posts. I'm actually going to pop that link here in the chat box because we do have it broken down by major as to the employers where students are going, as well as the salary ranges for that. So again, really great data as you're thinking about where you'd like to go. Kind of seeing those outcomes is a really good consideration when you're in your college search. But switching now, I'll kind of leave it here on our Follow Us page. Make sure you are connecting with us virtually. We do have a lot to offer. We are not able to have visitors here on campus this fall, just due to the health and safety of faculty, staff, and students, but we are hoping to have a different plan for the springtime. We will have to follow Dr. Jackson's leadership for that, but we do have a great Instagram. So of course, if you are not following us, you definitely should at RPI Admissions. We have students taking over. We had women in physics taking over this week. You can see their daily routines, what they're eating for breakfast, where they're going, how their classes are going, and you can ask them real life questions in there. So typically they'll post on our story and you can interact with them that way. We also have Facebook and Twitter. We're also on Raise Me, that platform as well. And we do have an awesome YouTube channel where we have a lot of our previous webinars recorded. It's a separate RPI Admissions YouTube. And again, on a rainy day, on a day where you are really kind of looking and doing your college research, plug into that. Take a look and see what we've offered because there's a lot of great information there. In the spring, we had admitted students webinars recorded, and we did an engineering series over the summer. So again, a lot more ways to connect with us and kind of get the behind the scenes look at a Rensselaer education. So I will leave this up, and let's just see if there are any other questions left to address here, Marty. I know it's about 3:05. We've had great chat activity here from Stacy and Hanif, so thank you guys for that. Let's see.
One question that came up in the first session, or just the topic came up, we didn't spend a lot of time on it, was around ROTC awards and veteran benefits. Mm-hmm. And so I'll just make a note that Rensselaer is a yellow ribbon participant college. And so if a parent is eligible for the 100% benefit through their post 9/11 military participation, then typically that student can come and have their tuition and fees covered with the VA program. And then in combination with Yellow Ribbon, they get a room and board award. And if the student is eligible for federal aid, they can receive that on top. And so the military families, you're very welcome here at Rensselaer. And if you're using the veteran benefits, it can really help make an opportunity like Rensselaer very affordable. ROTC, we also participate in all of the branches with ROTC. I had a meeting with some of the leaders on campus a year or so ago now, and they would love to increase the numbers of ROTC participants. If you're interested in a 4-year ROTC scholarship at all, you need to be working now during the fall of your senior year in high school to work with the local military branches to apply. In most cases, the awards are 3-year awards, and they're determined after the student is on campus and they attend the first year with their kind of typical financial aid award. So if you have questions on those, let us know too. Also, really great programs there. So I just wanted to make sure we spent a little bit of time to recognize the great students that participate in those programs.
Awesome, Marty. Thank you so much. I see a question that came in. Are majors such as computer science more selective compared to others? So no major really is more competitive or less competitive than any other here at Rensselaer. We do have a holistic approach. I will say computer science is one of our largest majors here on campus. So we do see a lot more applicants to that, but however, it is one of our larger programs here. So, the most students are going into that major. So again, overall competitiveness for Rensselaer, is competitive, but I wouldn't say that one major is really easier or harder to get into. All right. And mechanical and aerospace, those are actually kind of our larger majors within engineering. But again, competitiveness really between majors is, every year we really see different ebbs and flows for different majors. Biomedical, mechanical, and aero are kind of our bigger ones in engineering here on campus. But again, none is more competitive over another one.
I see a couple questions related to like average cost and how might I find my merit eligibility ahead of time and things like that. That's just a good time to point out that we do have a net price calculator tool that's available through whether you go through the admissions linkages or through the Office of Financial Aid linkages. All schools are required to have a net price calculator, and the idea is to do exactly that. Give you at least some idea of what to expect from the financial aid process at the school you're interested in without having to go through the formal process completely. For the Rensselaer calculator, understand that we have it geared to be a little bit conservative. Lauren and the other admissions folks talk about our holistic approach towards admissions, and I agree that's the great way to go. But sometimes it makes it a little bit challenging in terms of really nailing down. For example, we don't have a specific grid that says if you get X score, then you get Y dollars. Okay, Rensselaer is a little different that way, but to get an idea of what the cost could look like and to have a chance to run through your financial information in a basic tool first, net price calculator is a way to go. Averages are good to talk about, but again, not, the vast majority of people do not get the average award. And so just keep in mind that after gift aid, to answer the average question, the average cost after gift aid is about $45,000 this year for a typical family. And then after the basic student loan, that goes to about $40,000. And sometimes we get asked about, cost comparison to other schools, but really we're here for Rensselaer, and we have our budgets, and the other schools have theirs too. So we simply encourage all families to apply. That's the only way you're really going to know specifically. But that net price calculator is a way to kind of get a little bit of a heads up about what to expect.
Great, thank you. And I just have some questions about our computer science program just compared to other schools. Computer science here at Rensselaer is amazing. We have an amazing faculty. We do focus on artificial intelligence, machine learning, cybersecurity, and you will definitely learn about kind of those fundamental theories in class, algorithms, software and systems, and you can choose to concentrate in anything that you kind of wish to specialize in as well for computer science. One of the main takeaways I hear from Chuck Stewart all the time is just how much Rensselaer students develop their leadership skills in the classroom. So, you will be able to get your hands dirty and really kind of get your hands on all of these programming areas. Our students have a lot of real-time experience. They're not just kind of sitting back and reading a textbook. They're applying what they're learning. And the co-ops and internships, those past employers really do talk about Rensselaer students just having that extra level of leadership. It's not so much, when you go to an internship or co-op, it's not so much knowing everything. It's having the ability to learn and having the leadership and the confidence to learn in that environment. So again, that is kind of that's a lot of what Rensselaer students will have with them from a computer science degree. But yeah, great question. And we have we have Chuck and a bunch of computer science students on some of our webinars on YouTube. So I highly encourage you to take a look at that to learn more about the program as well. Great questions. All right. And yeah, I saw one about biomedical engineering internships. So those, the hiring statistics link that I popped in the chat will kind of show you everything, but we have students going to big pharma companies, medical device companies, GlaxoSmithKline, Genzyme, Philips, Sanofi. So kind of all those big names, as well as smaller entities as well. All right. Anything else, everyone? You've been a great audience. No? All right. Well, I will leave everyone with this. If you do need to get in touch with either one of our offices, admissions@rpi.edu is how to reach us. And then Marty's team is FinAid, FINAID @rpi.edu. If you have any questions along the way, feel free to connect with us. That's what we're here for. And thank you so much for your great questions today. We hope you've learned a lot, and we really look forward to continuing the conversation with everybody, and we look forward to your applications.
Have a great day, everybody.
Thank you.